Men's 300 yards to unknown. I'm Rick Gehman. That right there, Eric Patterson at EPAT Golf. Big week for golf. Big week for Eric. Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Rick, 7 minutes, 7 minutes away from the first T-ball of 2021, which is pretty crazy to say. I'm excited. This is a good time of the year. Tournament of champions, everyone's there. All the big names, even some non-winners. It's good. It's a good tournament to start the year off with.
Yes, we are recording this Thursday, January 7th, 2:03 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 minutes from Hudson Swafford and Martin Laird. The
first duo?
The pairing of the Sentry going out and hitting the first tee shots of the new decade, Eric. Could we have any for this?
Quick trivia. What tournaments did Swafford and Laird win to get into it?
Laird won Shriners. It just happened.
Swafford
won a tropical one. It was either Bermuda or Punta Cana, and I'm gonna go with Punta Cana.
Yeah, you're right. I knew who won Bermuda. So when I asked the question, I actually kind of forgot what Swafford won.
Hold on, let's keep going. Let's keep going. The next pairing is Stuart Sink and Robert Streb.
Streb won RSM.
Yeah.
Sink. He won in this ball swing too.
Yeah, he did.
I'm running out of options. Safeway.
All right, here we go. Brian Gay and Sergio Garcia.
Well, Gay Bermuda and Garcia, Sanderson Farms.
Okay, Michael Thompson, Andrew Landry.
So I actually just looked up what Landry won, so I know that he took down the
American Express.
Desert, is it the Desert Classic? I don't. It always has a different.
It's called
name.
the American Express now.
Yeah, and then who's the other guy? Thompson.
I know this one.
3M Open.
Correct. Okay, this one I can guess at. Taylor and Carlos Ortiz. Carlos Ortiz just won. That was Houston.
And Nick Taylor was Pebble.
Okay, Pebble Beach. That was going to be my guess. Confident in it. Adam Scott, Jason Kokrak.
Kokrak, CJ Cup, Scott Genesis.
Yeah, this is riveting. Patrick Can't. Okay, here you go. Patrick Cantlay.
I should be able to get them all. I think I should be able to get them all. Cantlay was Zozo.
Yeah.
Warinsky, Barracuda.
Leishman and Horschel.
Horschel didn't win.
Right. He's a tour champ guy.
And Leash was Farmers. They asked, so before we keep going, they were asking guys like how they felt about, letting the non-winners in. Mm-hmm. And JT's like, well, it's called the Tournament of Champions for a reason. You got to be a champion to be here. This is obviously a off year. Xander said the same thing. A guy who didn't win.
Yeah.
Said, I shouldn't really be here, but I'm going to take advantage. And then Billy Horschel comes out and goes, I really think they should expand it to the Tour Championship because it's tough to get to East Lake. So I think those guys deserve a spot. And I was like, wow, I wonder if Billy won last year or not.
Interesting set of takes on those. All right, let's do a couple more. Let's just see. Kevin Na Neiman. I don't think he won.
Wow.
I think he's a tour champ guy.
Yeah, he must be. No, because he won Military Tribute, which was like
that was 2 years
2019.
ago.
Yeah. It was last season, but not last year. 2 years ago.
Right.
Who was the other guy?
Kevin Na.
Na didn't win either.
He didn't win, but he made it to the top 30. He had to
because he won in 2019, right? Like, so that would have got you into the Tour Championship for 2020, but you didn't necessarily need to have a good year.
Well, hold on. No, he won Shriners in 2019.
Right. Yeah. So that would get you to the 2020 Tour Championship, but not necessarily mean you have a good 2020.
But he did. Yeah. Okay. So he made it he made it to the Tour Championship. That's how he got it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll stop. That's where we got it.
There's a lot of guys who didn't win.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Eric Patterson. First of all, Happy New Year. And to kick off the new year, my friend, you have launched the Quick 9, which, let me tell you, and I'll describe to people on what this is, but I've read the first edition. I love it, and I can't wait to see where it goes. So describe to the world what is going on here.
It means a lot that you said that. Basically, I just wanted to... I spent a ton of time on Twitter, maybe too much, probably too much. Taken a lot of golf, but I really didn't think there was somewhere that just kind of parceled it all together in like a complete one package. Like for me, this is what I find interesting, the top 9 tidbits, pieces of information, stats, videos, whatever it might be, storylines, news, opinions, and just it's going to be 2 times a week right now, Mondays and Wednesdays. The next one will be Monday, just kind of recapping the week, and then Wednesday will more be like the news and then looking at what the week to come. So yeah, this complements my work at The Score. Maybe it might transition into a full article at The Score, but for now it's just a newsletter. Something I'm kind of a little pet project for me, but I'm excited about it.
Well, I was going to ask, I mean, so I love this because I see the vision of what this could look like in a year, 2 years, whatever. I mean, does this have to be associated with The Score, or this is just Eric Patterson?
I mean, it doesn't have to be, but obviously The Score would have more viewers than I would have to begin with on my Twitter feed. So,
for now.
Yeah, for now. So, who knows? I just like having to be able to kind of freewheel it, throw in my take here and there, maybe get a little controversial. I could turn up the spice meter a little bit on some of them, depending on the topic. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Here's what I can't wait. This thing grows. It's got like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Everyone loves it twice a week. And 1 week you sell out. And number 5 is like Jon Rahm's new equipment. And it's just a Callaway ad. And everyone scorches you on Twitter. That's the moment that you need it. You sell out one of these spots. I cannot wait for it. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm trying not to. I'll try to avoid like sponsorship sellout.
No, get your money, bro. Do it. Get your money.
We'll keep it for what it is right now. Just me freewheeling 9 things twice a week. Keep you in the loop.
Just a couple of these things. One of these we're going to talk about. The one was the most for me. This and you have it in here. Great is Patrick Reed is now rocking G4 gear. As opposed to me.
So yeah, he's out at Nike, and apparently he's this is from Riggs at Barstool. He's apparently not signed with G4, which I find extremely odd because he's got like the Hublot. I don't know how to pronounce it. And then he's got Grindworks on his chest. So like he's buying these shirts off the rack and then stitching them in, which someone said, Justine's got a printing press at home and she just kind of pastes them on. It could be, but yeah, G4 and Patrick Reed is a perfect match made in heaven.
I was gonna say I don't believe that he's buying them off the rack or whatever, but so it would almost make sense because these two things don't go together, that they're like, we don't sponsor this guy, he's just like grabbing stuff off the rack. Like, I don't know, this is just such a strange look for me, and he's got this little smirk on his face in this photo that you have. It cracks me up.
Did you see the tumbler that they sell? It says it's like golf hates me is what you could buy it off the G4 website. Sean Carr from No Lang put up. Yeah. So you can buy a tumbler that says golf hates me. And it's pretty much exactly what Patrick Reed is all about. The skull and crossbones. They have another one. They have a hat that says Country Club Misfit, which I think Reed should just wear for the entire season.
It's so good. I like that I can add those pictures in there. See how I did that? We're using a new little stream little site here. It's pretty slick. Allows me to do some cool stuff. And then, okay, I want to talk about this one because I tweeted this out and it got way more popular than I thought it was going to get. This is the Bryson DeChambeau doing the. Can I play this in here?
No, I won't play it there, unfortunately.
Here it is. Bryson doing this, which okay, I have a lot to say about this, and this has kind of been covered a little bit, but let's assume he's blocking the wind. Okay, let's assume that. Is that fair?
It's got to be what it is.
Okay. Wouldn't it be a lot easier for the guy in the umbrella just to stand on the other side of the tee and hold the? Why does he have to follow along the ball?
There's science, because if you have the umbrella too far, the wind will wrap around the umbrella and then create like a jet stream.
It's a 4-foot putt. It's not gonna work like that.
Bryson thought about that. It creates like some whatever turbulence or something behind that umbrella that would disrupt the. He needs like a no wind zone right in front of the ball.
So not only is it a weird thing to do, I don't think it's a very efficient way to block the wind. That's what I'm saying.
Just don't punt into the wind. Like what? I don't quite get the what he's trying to calibrate there. Just go to your. I guess. Yeah, he's trying to figure out the green speeds, but just wait until the wind dies down.
The other thing is, I knew launch monitors were awesome technology. Are you telling me that it can pick up putts like this, or is it just sitting there for some other reason?
No, it's definitely Bryson's actually he's responded to like they asked him what's wrong with his putting. Is it the speed or is it the line? And he said it's the launch, which Bryson studies like the degrees of launch and spin right off the putter face. So he's breaking it down by numbers we wouldn't even think about. Yeah. So he's already in the lab early in 2021.
That's why his putter is Seek. I don't know how you say it. Seek maybe. Sick. It has that it's at the face on the loft on the face is dynamic, but it like goes from 4 degrees to 1 degree from like the top or the bottom or whatever. So if you hit it with like a descending blow, it has more loft. And
you've been watching Golf Channel, haven't you?
Unfortunately, yeah. So my new office setup now, I have a TV right there. So like if I just look straight ahead, nice. So it's actually like a gift and a curse that I just have golf on mute all day. There's some stuff that's how I got this. There's some stuff that comes across Golf Channel that I'm like, what in the world is happening right now?
I was the same, man. I looked up the other day and they were trying to sell me on a driver that has like a weird triangle face to it, and they call it like they're showing off this like long drive hitter, and it looked like it was from like 1985 or something.
Because it is.
Like, what's going on here?
That infomercial used to run 15 years ago. That's
all the guys are in the baggy clothes, like pleated pants, like it looks like straight from like early 1990s, and I'm like, it's 2021. What am I watching right now? I don't know what the club is called. The guy has a horrible swing, and I'm pretty sure his long drives were like 350. It's not even. They're not as long anymore.
That is old. That's an old infomercial that I guess that company has revived itself, and now they're running it back again. Now the distance is important again. Also, I used to own. Do you remember this? There used to be an infomercial that was on all the time. It was for the Perfect Club. Do you remember?
Heard about the Perfect Club? Never owned it, but I heard about it.
I used to live and die by the Perfect Club.
What was
it? It was basically a 7-wood. It was like a 7-wood with like a 7-iron left length.
7-wood with a 7-iron length. Okay.
So it was like short and like easy to hit, but had like a wood type hybrid.
Did you get a full set of Perfect Clubs or just one club? You just used the whole round.
So glad you asked. So my dad and I both had this Perfect Club, and then so it's just the one club that they released, and the infomercial was phenomenal, dude. They used it everywhere. They used it greenside. You could chip with it. They used it out of the fairway bunkers, off the tee, whatever you wanted. This was the Perfect Club. And then they came out with a graphite shaft version of it, which we obviously picked up one of those. And then they started to go into. Then they got too big for their britches. They got too excited. They went for the Perfect Driver. Nah, not gonna happen. They had a Perfect Spoon. I think it was called a Perfect Spoon. I'm gonna look this up. It was like
the cutlery.
It was like the Perfect Spoon Golf Club. It was for like shorter shots, I guess. Yeah, 15 degree. Here we go. 15 degree golf club. Oh my God. You can buy this in seconds.
Think about all those infomercials that have run on Golf Channel, and some guy somewhere in the world has all of them just lined up. His whole bag is just.
I'll tell you where it is. It's my dad's neighbor. So my parents live in this like 55 plus community. They're like the youngest people there, and it has like like 27 holes. And literally, I've played over there with those guys. Their bag is full of late night infomercial. The Square Strike. I'm trying to think what else is out there right now. But
the
like
Metakiss, there's like the club that like you warm up with, and it breaks if you're out of play. My dad had one of those.
My dad has that too. Yeah. It's literally like, it's amazing. And these guys, they buy them all. So I guess it's working. Obviously it's working.
We watch Golf Channel way too much. That's what it all comes down to here.
It's really bad. Speaking of clubs, the number 2 player in the world leaves TaylorMade, goes to Callaway. I've argued this is both a story and a non-story. I actually like more that he's wearing Travis Matthew now, which I think is a cool looking brand for him. But
did you see that picture I tweeted of him in the practice round though? He hasn't figured out his fashion yet. I don't know.
No,
he's getting his Callaway hats are too new. That's the issue. His Callaway hats, the beak is just like dead straight. Looks like he could be playing center field.
I see it.
It doesn't fit his face. And then he's got Jordans on, which is not Travis Matthews. So I'm kind of confused actually what shoe brand he's going to be wearing.
Look for Jon Rahm right here.
Yeah, he just does. And someone looks, if you scroll down on someone says that's Marcus Armitage, which is a European tour player who kind of looks exactly like Rahm right now, which I thought was
is his sticker still on that hat, or is that
it probably is. You got to keep it authentic.
I mean, he just got it like they handed it to him right
But
before this.
he also is using a TaylorMade putter there too, so he hasn't gone a complete Callaway switch.
Yeah, that's the Spider or the Mini Spider or whatever, right?
Yeah, their new one. But yeah, number 2 player in the world switches clubs. It's definitely a story. I think it has to be, right? But I think it's a story for different reasons. Like, I don't think he's trying to get better by switching to Callaway because he got to number 1 in the world with TaylorMade. So how much?
I think he could be the number 1 player with any of the five major brands clubs, right?
Yeah, I don't like he's so good. There might be an adjustment period. You know, maybe it's a risk for this year to trying to get used to them or whatever, used to the new ball. But I mean, I looked up what TaylorMade's paying Rory, and I saw it was like 10 million a year. So if Rahm's getting in that ballpark, that's some nice money. You're just kind of guaranteeing yourself, regardless of the results. You're just banking that money.
It's why Justin Rose was the number 1 player in the world and said, "Oh, I'll go play Hanma." It's because guaranteed cash money. Doesn't matter if you miss the cut every single week. We'll get to a point in golf at some point where these guys are guaranteed payouts every single week, or at least some portion of it. But yeah, think about that. Think about if you go through a rough stretch, couple of bad years. I mean, you can just guarantee. I mean, $10 million a year for Rory
every year almost.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. That's more than he makes on the course, unless he wins the FedEx Cup or something like that.
Pretty much. So, like, you could argue, his results might take a bit of a step back for like a couple months, half a year. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he's cashing in, and yeah, he'll figure it out eventually. He's Jon Rahm.
Right. And I always think it's hilarious when people try to use the club thing as like a reason or against like rostering him or betting on him, which is like, okay, he's not picking these up for the first time Thursday morning, right? Like right now, as he's going out in Hawaii. Like, it's not the first time he's ever seen these clubs. Like, obviously he's been getting dialed in for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think the ball maybe in the wind is going to be something that I don't know. These guys are so fine tuned that like 500 RPM, 1000 RPM a spin difference, what they're used to, or what they picture their ball flight in a certain window and the wind picks up and moves it. They're just not used to it. Maybe it reacts a little differently, but I think that is reading into it a little too much. There is a bit of a risk, I think, that he might, take a couple weeks, a month to really figure it out, to tweak some things. So, for the long season, for like for the entire year, no issue. But maybe this week, gets windy. I don't know. Maybe he starts tinkering with things. Maybe it's not perfect like it was maybe with TaylorMade. But I don't know. I think they're just really good players cashing in, and he'll figure it out regardless of what clubs he has.
Did you see Xander's just been spending time playing Call of Duty? Like,
he had COVID, so yeah. This is. They asked him if he's like reading books or anything. He's nah. I just sit at home and play PlayStation. So it's good to know that he shares a lot of commonalities with a lot of people.
He said, "I have 2 books that I looked at."
He thought about it, but
he didn't say he read
fired up on Call of Duty that I had to jump in.
I have 2 books I looked at too. I've got like books in the background of like shots and stuff that I'm like, I should really read these at some point before I put them back here. But
they ask you when you're on camera.
Yeah, I'm like, these are great. They're great books. I highly endorse them. Blah blah blah. I think
Xander's been posted up. He'll be fine. I don't think it does. It did sound like he was a little worried he might not get like the walk at Kapalua is pretty treacherous. So if he's not 100% fit level, then I don't know. Maybe come Sunday it wears on him a little bit, but I think he'll be completely fine.
Yeah, it is not necessarily an easy walk. All that elevation change at Kapalua. My buddy got married at Kapalua.
It's a nice spot. I went to Hawaii once, the Maui once. Never got up to Kapalua, but man, like this is actually it's a good and a bad time of the year. Like here in Toronto, it's freezing. Like for me, golf is so far away. Playing around a golf is so far away. But to watch them in Hawaii, ocean. JT was like sun tanning earlier or yesterday. I'm just like, these guys are living such a nice life that I could only ever dream about. But yeah, it's nice awesome place to play some golf and play for $1 million.
Not too shabby. Okay. We don't have to spend too much time on this because we rail against it like 18 out of 36 weeks a year, but there's no PGA Tour Live for this event. So we are literally getting I think 4 hours of coverage. Let me confirm that. Yeah, 3 p.m. Yeah, okay. So 6 to 10 Eastern PM Eastern time on the Golf Channel. That's it. Which I guess in this event, a lot of them are going out at the same time. But like, when will it be? I want you to set a line. Like, when will we get a significant change in coverage?
I don't know, whenever the next TV deal is up, maybe even the TV deal after that one, because like even for this tournament, not that many guys, 42 players. Coverage starts at, what did it say, 6? The last group tees off at 5:30. Why am I missing even 2 holes of who is it, JT and DJ? Like, why am I? Give me the entire round. I don't want to see 16 of 18. Maybe JT makes a double on the first hole. Like, tell me why. It just is what it is. I know the radio starts at 4 p.m. Eastern, so I will be tuning into that to get my early fix. So PGA Tour Live Radio, or whatever you want to call it, is on. But yeah, it's frustrating. One thing I actually noticed is the PGA Tour on their Twitter feed now has the schedule as their banner photo. So if you're ever wondering, and I think it's new, if you're ever wondering where you can watch it or when you can watch it, it's going to be on the Twitter feed there at the top.
You're right. So, okay. So they've got broken down by day, the 7th to the 9th, and then it's a little different, ends a little bit earlier on Sunday. Then you can watch on NBC. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a little all over the place. Like when you look at it, it's kind of confusing, but NBC has it for like 2 hours and then it goes to the Golf Channel. It's kind of backwards that way, but
yeah, it doesn't make much sense here. Yeah, I usually just go to the leaderboard. I open up the app, go to the leaderboard or whatever. That's where I find the tee times, but it's a little bit wonky. While we have, I'm trying to pull up I wanted to see the ownership now that we went live on some of these guys. So I'm going to try to pull this up right here and see what's going on. But I saw that, Bryson DeChambeau, 17%, Ryan Palmer, 27% owned. I think that I might have a little fault in that.
Is this in like the big one?
This is in, there's like the 200K to first. DJ,
you were leading the charge on the Ryan Palmer love, weren't you?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to bite me. Yeah. Answer 22%. That's pretty interesting. I want to find Morikawa.
When did you start doing ownership? Have you always done ownership on your cheat sheets?
Yes, but I don't create them. That's the one thing on the site that I don't create. So I aggregate them from 3 sources. I've been grading them and back to. I'm so bad at it. I just found I'm so bad at it, Eric. And I was just like, you know what? I can't even. It's not worth it. Other people are doing it better. I aggregate them. I grade them. I pass along the best ones. So yeah, I've always had them. They're just not technically mine. I've been very transparent about that.
Yeah, no, I truthfully, it was like one of the first weeks I looked at them. I thought it was new, but definitely made some decisions for me this week. Yeah. I'm excited to get going. I can't believe I got to wait another 3 hours before the TV's on, though.
Yeah, they come across a little bit like Tuesday night or Wednesday morning is when I usually have them ready. So then they'll get added to the cheat sheet after that. All right, let's see what else is going on in the world of golf. I'm looking at your quick 9. I'm scrolling through some of the stuff. What else is happening this week? Anything?
I mean, if you want to get into a quick, did you by any chance read Brandel Chambly's latest article about how to rein in distance? I don't know if but
if you would have asked, have I read Brandel Chambly's anything? The answer would have been no. So yeah, let's talk about it. So, okay. So he wrote an article about distance.
I read it, and in typical like Chambly fashion, this will probably be in the newsletter on Monday, maybe me going off on him a bit, but he fills it with a ton of numbers, confusing numbers, maybe numbers that don't even correlate. Andy Johnson from the Fried Egg retweeted it and said, because he was comparing scoring average and driving distance from 1980 and I think it was 2020.
Okay.
So scoring average has gone down like 2%, but driving distance has gone up like 15%. These are just ballpark numbers. So he's pretty much saying they're hitting it so much further, but the change in score is really not that much different.
Okay.
But so Brandel lays out that argument, but he makes no reference of the change in length of the courses they're playing.
Oh, okay. So courses are also getting longer.
Yeah, like I should have looked up like the length of Augusta in 1980, but I'm guessing it's, I don't know, 500 yards, 600 yards.
And whatever it is, that's probably even a bad example because they've tried to like keep it, they've added a couple extra tee boxes and stuff, but there are other courses that have been extended much longer than Augusta National has since 1980.
Exactly. Yeah. So he makes that argument without even talking about the length of, the distance these courses have to be extended to try to contain them. And then basically his final argument is grow the rough, grow the fairways, grow the green speeds, basically slow everything down. And he doesn't mention carry distance once. So that just kind of got me triggered a little bit because it's something, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know if we've really talked about it. Do you see like the distance boom? Because his article came out because the USGA and R&A are releasing their distance report, I guess, in March. That was postponed because of the pandemic. And now they're going to come out and kind of have their final say whether or not the ball needs to come back or drivers need to be changed or whatever their findings are from the increase in distance.
First off, Brandel Chambly does not come across to me as like team big data. So I'm not sure I'd be,
It uses a lot of data though, but obviously only when it kind of helps make his argument.
That's a good game to play. In terms of distance, I don't care. Like, it's 2021. These guys are getting more efficient. They're getting more optimal. Do it. I don't care. I understand that it is a tricky situation when courses, it's hard for courses to adjust as quickly as players adjust. And in a world where golf course maintenance is already so expensive, courses are going to get lapped, right? That's going to be the problem here. Courses are going to get lapped. And I understand it from a distance standpoint. But the argument that distance is really the only defense, I think, is very silly and one-dimensional. And we saw from, and I think the President's Cup was a perfect example of this, Royal Melbourne was firm and fast. And we've seen this countless times on the PGA Tour. If you make a course firm and fast, it kind of doesn't matter how long it is. That's one of the best defenses against professional golfers for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you miss the fairway and you can't get as much spin on your approach shot, it's more difficult on a firm and fast course. And then also it takes it away from being a launch monitor contest. And what I mean by that, Eric, is these guys know exactly how far they hit every single club. Dustin Johnson knows that if he takes this club and hits it this hard, it's going to go 152, and this one's going to go 153, and this one's going to go 154. Like, he's got a swing for every single one of those. And if the greens are soft and receptive, they pick the number they want, they fly it the whole way there, and it sits right down. When you introduce firm and fast conditions, you now add another dimension of, I need to land it here, I need to stop it here. If it goes a little bit too far, I could be in trouble. I think that is the defense that few people are talking about in the conversation that is always focused on distance. So
Brandel's basically saying slow everything down, and I agree with you. I would rather see everything sped up. Keep the rough maybe a bit shorter, keep the fairways really fast, and firm up the greens. Because like, if you are, like you said, if you're in the rough and trying to land it on a firm green, it's just something we never see on the PGA Tour that often, because they want birdies, they want low scores. So that's why we get the soft conditions, and that's it's almost a.
And also, I'm sorry, it's just like you're right. Like, there's also no one wants to watch carnage every single week. And I know it's fun a couple of times a year and people get all amped up about it when there's one guy under par at the US Open, but 22 under par or whatever is kind of exciting. Watching these guys hit shots, watching them make birdies, watching them make eagles. So you have a disconnect between what a lot of people think might be good for the game of golf and what people might think might be good for either viewership or excitement or whatever. Those two things aren't always aligned.
Yeah, and I would argue in terms of viewership, I would rather watch a guy hit a 5-iron, hit a 6-iron into a par 4, into and try to hit it to 10 feet than watch someone from like 100 yards try and put a wedge to 5 feet. I just think the skill required to do, from 200 yards to 15 feet or whatever, as opposed to just throwing darts with wedges. I would rather see the long iron game, be more important, be more relevant, I just think that's drifting away.
Let me preface this by saying I know very little and close to nothing about golf course maintenance and grass and all that stuff. But what I think is sometimes interesting is there's a couple of courses on the PGA Tour where everyone ends up playing from the same spot. because it's basically out of necessity. So it's like RBC Heritage is a pretty good example of this. You can't necessarily cut the corners. Everyone kind of plays it to the same spot and then plays in from there. AT&T, Pebble Beach, has a lot of similar landing areas for players. So what you end up getting is, which is almost the most fair version of golf, right? Put everybody at 150 yards in. If one guy can hit a wedge and one guy has to hit a 7-iron, that's the world we live in. But at least not one guy's playing from the front of the green and another guy's playing from back. So I don't know if there's a way. I mean, let's start growing out. I used to see this in video games all the time, so it must be true, Eric, where you just grow, like take at 330 yards, cut the fairway off, make it rough.
I always thought, you could have like tapered fairways. I don't know why you wouldn't have, if you want to hit it 350, go for it. But you're going to have a 15-yard wide landing area. If you want to hit it 320, you're going to have a 30-yard landing area. If you can only hit it 290, you might have, an 80-yard wide landing area. So you could have it. It would look probably pretty crappy on TV to see like a triangle type fairway. But I think that's like me really galaxy braining this. But I think if you're pretty much saying, if you think your distance is, that much more rewarding to hit it 350, 360, and you want to play from the rough, go for it. Whereas the Brandon Todds of the world, they're just going to be hitting it 290 down the fairway and play everything from the fairway. And
there are courses that actually open up at 350. Like there are courses that actually get
like even
at 350.
Dog legs, when you have to like cut a dog leg and then you reposition like the angle of the fairway, you basically have like an 80-yard, 90-yard wide landing area at 340 or at 350, which is just, it just plays right into the hands of the longer hitters.
And again, without knowing anything about maintenance, it seems that tapering the fairways like that would be easier and less expensive than complete redesigns, adding new tee boxes, adding in bunkers in landing areas, because we see this all the time. We saw this at TPC Harding Park, right? You take a course a month or two in advance, you start letting that grass grow in, you make it a bit more narrow. It's not a muni anymore. That to me seems like a pretty decent option, as long as the rough is a bit more penal and as long as these aren't, super soft and receptive greens. Yeah,
just back to hitting at 360 is obviously an advantage, but at the US Open, everyone was missing fairways. So to be 300 in the rough was just a massive disadvantage. But so you got to give those guys a chance to find the fairway and give themselves a chance, if they can only hit at 310.
All right, I'm in full galaxy brain mode. How about tapering the rough? The rough can be shorter, closer to the tee, closer to the green. It is longer.
I don't mind that either. There's a lot of ways. I think, these might be a little galaxy brain. I think
a little. These are probably like the worst ideas ever, but at least we're thinking about it.
I truthfully, I'm looking at a tweet right now. Tony Finau wants 280cc club heads for drivers. Right now they're at 460, so almost half the size, which I think would drastically increase the difficulty it is to just lash at a driver, which is pretty much all we see now. And Finau probably he probably hits it right on the screws every time because his swings he has like a half swing.
Yeah, he gets so much out of so little.
So he makes sense for some, and I'm sure Rory could probably hit it right on the screws. DJ could probably do it every time too. So they should be the ones who are leading the charge of maybe make the driver a club that's extremely hard to hit again, not just something that guys go to when they're nervous. I've used this before, like Hao Tong Lee at the President's Cup was nervous. He admitted to being nervous. Ernie Els said, "Don't hit driver on the first tee." He goes, "Well, it's the only club I feel comfortable pulling out of the bag," so he went with driver.
He said it's the biggest face. It's the hardest to miss or something like that.
Absurd. And Bryson swings as hard as he can. I'm sure he doesn't hit everything right on the center of the club face. So you put a 280 in him, he can't swing it as hard as he typically would because he might miss the ball.
Do you care if pros use different equipment than amateurs?
We've probably talked about that. They already do. So yeah, I don't care at all.
That's interesting.
I need a 460cc driver. I need a 500cc driver.
I don't think it's great for the game to, I don't know. I guess I go back and forth. You're right. They definitely don't use the same equipment, but it looks similar and it's close enough. I think it's
not good for sales of equipment.
Yeah. And it's not good for
you know, Rory's using the new Sim 2 driver, and you can go buy it at your, you know, Golf Galaxy.
Right. When you start putting CC restrictions on pros, but not amateurs, and I think it's a slippery slope. I think this has to come from courses. I think course defense is where it has to be.
It just, that's an expensive way to do it, I think. But it would be cool to see one tournament do like a tournament ball. Just, this is what you have to play if you want to come play.
That would be cool, actually. Yeah.
Even if it's not that rolled back, whatever it is, maybe it's 5% less fly, less carry. Just like, this is what you have to use to play here. And it's probably gonna have to be a big tournament to do that. You can't do that at the Sony Open or no one would show up.
Yeah, right. You have to pay them a lot of money. You have to have a big sponsor. You have to have it has to be the Titleist Open. Here's a Pro V1 that flies 10% less. Everybody play that. And I mean, they'd get a hell of a lot of value because everybody would be talking about it. But that's I think
it's going to be a conversation that does carry on throughout the season because of that USGA report that's going to be coming out within the next couple of months. I think March is when I saw it coming out. We'll see what they do, if anything. What is actually being implemented this week is the pace of play policy. We don't need to get into it. We'll see if they enforce it, but the one that was supposed to be put in play last year is now that was again put on hold because of COVID. They are implementing it at Kapalua this week.
What's the big difference? What's the
So it's now like individual. Like you don't get put on. You don't get like docked for a group being slow. You specifically get put on the clock.
Oh, okay, got
and
it.
like you get warnings. You get. I don't know all the details, but I know there's a penalty for taking over 2 minutes. Like you get put on a list. So we'll see if they do anything with it, but it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, if they.
This is all your fault. This is your fault.
It might be. Golf Channel, they threw up an article today, and I clicked it just because it was like the Bryson rule. And the first video was there's Bryson pacing off a 70-yard approach, and then the next one from the Fantasy Golf Pod, they got the video of him taking like 2 minutes to read a 11-footer. So yeah.
Yeah, this is a conversation for another day where I do not think the tour has a pace of play problem. General public does.
We went over this,
but this is all your fault, and I blame you for everything, Eric Patterson.
It's good. Put a shot clock on him. DJ would win every tournament if that was the case.
Yeah, as if he doesn't win every tournament now. So I love it. We are off and running in 2021. Lots of good things to come. Eric Patterson, you can find his work on The Score. You can also find his email newsletter. It's called The Quick 9. What's the best way to get it? Quick, is it follow you through Twitter, or what's the direct URL?
It's pinned on my Twitter profile. I think if you just search like Eric Patterson Substack, it'll find it there. I already had to change the name. Unfortunately, I had a branding issue that happens when you don't search enough. Didn't your PR company alert you of that before you went live? No, my PR company, it's a one-man operation over here. Yeah, we already got into some hot water, so good start with the newsletter. But
I love it.
We're off and running now.
I'll also link it in the description so you can subscribe and get all this goodness every Monday and Wednesday. Follow Eric Patterson on EPAC Golf. Follow me at RickRunGood. This has been 300 Yards Unknown. Catch you next time.